Hello loves and welcome back to the channel. I know I've been MIA for a minute because your girl had an eye infection earlier this week. It was a hot mess. So I haven't been able to post some videos, but now that we're back. So welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being patient with me and for all the love and support. We did do the weekly community oracle poll yesterday, which was a lot of fun because we went on for like an hour and a half, which was a lot of fun. I got to talk to a lot of y'all, and I'm really excited we get to connect in that way because we missed the live on Monday. With that being said, before we get started on the breakdown for the full moon in Virgo that's happening tomorrow on the 18th, I just want to remind everybody that the workshop for this month is all about how to build a strong spiritual practice. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be on March 28th. But it is done remotely, so if you can't make it on that specific day, it's always available for replay, which is a really cool thing about my workshops, is that you can always go back to any of my workshops, especially if you're a Patreon member. You have access to all of the workshops that we've done in the past at any time, because the links are always available for replay. Definitely make sure you get your tickets because that workshop is going to be really amazing. It's all about how to build a strong spiritual practice. We're going to have a 10-minute daily meditation that you can do that's very easy, just to connect with your guides, get some messages right from the get, and just focusing on how to have a consistent practice in that way. It's going to be a very cool workshop. And I'm really excited about it, especially because we are about to go into Aries season. So this is like that fresh energy, that time to refresh, you do a little spring cleaning, clean house a little bit, okay? And make sure that we're kind of like setting the groundwork for, the direction we're trying to head on within our practice for the year, especially because Jupiter's in Pisces, but it will be going into Aries soon. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little later. But anyway, so definitely make sure you got your tickets because it's almost sold out. The links will be down below for the tickets. And the workbook will also be available soon. I'm literally trying to finish editing it right now so that I can post it up. It's going to be on my website, and it's also, you can add it as an add-on when you buy your tickets if you wanted to get it there as well. Now, something fell. So today we're going to do specifically the breakdown of the full moon in Virgo that's happening tomorrow on March 18th. This specific moon is definitely going to be something. So let's break it down. Then I pulled some cards, some oracle cards. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a spell guide of what to, look for, what you should focus on. Definitely the theme is healing though, but let's get it popping. So planetary positions. The sun will be in Pisces, moon will be in Virgo, Mercury will be in Pisces, Venus and Mars will be in Aquarius, Jupiter will be in Pisces, Saturn will be in Aquarius, Uranus will be in Taurus, Neptune will be in Pisces, and Pluto will be in Capricorn. So we have two stelliums going on right now. We have an Aquarius stellium with Venus, Mars, and Saturn in Aquarius, and we have a Pisces stellium with the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and Neptune in Aquarius. In Pisces, sorry. And so there's definitely a lot of focus on both elementally the water energies, but also the air energies. There's a lot of stuff happening with communication and the mind at this time, and there's also a lot of things being revealed at this time, but let's get it popping. Let's talk about the aspects. So first and foremost, we have the sun in opposition to the moon. This is, again, and this is something we talk about often within the full moon forecast breakdowns, but sun in opposition to the moon, it's the sun being the ego, your inner child, your willpower, and the moon being your emotional consciousness, your emotions, and your intuitive energies, in opposition. So not necessarily being on the same page. Okay, so there's a little bit of disagreements of the way something should be done. You might see some conflicts between what's going on, like what you feel like you should do versus what in your gut, what your gut is trying to tell you to do and what you want to do. You might see a little bit of a disagreement there. It might feel a little bit not necessarily fun during this time. there's definitely, it's a more of a questioning kind of state when you are when the sun is in opposition to the moon, because when the sun that makes it so your ego is not in alignment to your emotional energy. So if you feel like doing something, it might not be what you want to do, and it can feel like you're kind of tearing yourself apart a little bit and trying to make a decision that will make sense to you. Now the sun will be in a conjunction with Neptune, so this conjunction with, because they're both in Pisces, this conjunction with Neptune is going to help if you work through it spiritually. So because of all of the heavy water energies that we have, and because of the sun in conjunction with Neptune placement, this is a really good time to navigate some of your issues that you're having through a spiritual lens, because Neptune is a planet that rules spirituality, that rules illusions, glamour, dreams, the subconscious mind. So this is a great time for you to work in that way, especially if you are having a hard time making a decision about something. Tonight would be a really good night to say, hey, ancestors, or my spirits, can you guys please come in my dreams and guide me and show me, you know, if I do this, how is it gonna look? And if I do that, how is that, like, what is the outcome? What am I looking at? Am I going to be able to, you know, get through this in this way? Like, what is overall, where am I headed with this? Okay. So it's really, really, really important to kind of reflect spiritually, reflect also your dreams and what you're being told, because your spirits are going to be communicating with you at this time regardless. You're going to be getting messages. You're going to be getting, you know, a lot of downloads and a lot of things coming through, but it's like you need to take time to reflect on that so that you can know how to address it. And some things are not going to be super clear. That's the other thing about Pisces energy, is that you have to kind of do the work to dissect the dreams, to dissect the downloads, to really sit on it, like meditate on it, really contemplate on it, and actually try to figure out what your perception of what it is that you need to do moving forward, so you could feel good about the choices and the actions that you're making. So keep that in mind. The moon will also be in an opposition to Neptune. Okay, so moon opposition to Neptune, there is going to be a little bit of a disconnect on intuitively what you should feel like you should do versus what your spirits are telling you that you should do. And this is why divination during this time might be a little bit like a little blunt. Okay, if you pull some cards for this full moon in Virgo, and you know you're getting read to the filth, or your spirits are like, no, I don't think you should do this, I think you're moving in the wrong direction, or you're doing something off course, and you decide to do it anyway, there's a little bit of a kind of like you're not following the guidance, and you're gonna put yourself in a position where, you know, you could potentially like not like it later. Like, you don't know, like it's kind of like them saying like, hey, you don't know what's coming, we know what's coming, we're trying to tell you to go this way, you're trying to go that way out of your ego, but that's not, you know, like it's, you can't follow this right now. Right now it's important for you to listen to the guidance, and it's like this opposition is going to create conflict internally for us, where we're going to be a little confused. And because Pisces season rules confusion, it's gonna be a little bit annoying if we're asking for guidance, or we're asking and then we're like not sitting right with it. There's something like, I don't want to do that, but but maybe I don't feel like I should do that. And you really need to listen to yourself and see which one's talking, your ego or your, you know, intuitively what you feel you should do. Because sometimes like we be doing that, and then it's like, no, maybe you actually needed to do that. Maybe you actually needed to listen to the guidance, and it's your ego or your emotional energy not wanting you to dive in there. But you're going to be pushed into doing so. So I'm just letting you guys know right now, you need to really have discernment with yourselves. And this is a really great time spiritually to learn discernment within your, you know, working with your ego versus working with your emotional consciousness, your intuition, and working on your spiritual abilities, and working with your spirits, and the differences between all of those things, because they are different. They are absolutely different. What your spirits will tell you could be different than what your intuition is telling you, could be different than what your ego is telling you. So it's important for you to have that discernment and figure out when you yourself are creating an action or doing something that's holding yourself back from the guidance that is being set. Okay. Because this is like getting the 10 of wands, the 10 of swords, the 9 of swords, the 3 of swords in a reading, and being like, oh yeah, our relationship is going great. Like, boo. No. No. The moon will also be in a trine with Pluto. Lord. Moon and trine with Pluto makes it so there's a lot of intense emotions, but also makes it so there's a lot of deep transformations. This also can make it things a little bit of tad chaotic. And we're going to see that in a bit, because Uranus is also, Uranus is doing some things for the specific full moon in Virgo. But moon in a trine with Pluto is emotional transformation. It is intense. It's going to feel a little bit heavier than, and it's in a physical realm level as well, because both the moon will be in Virgo, which is an earth sign, and Pluto is in Capricorn, which is an earth sign. So the transformations and changes that are happening because of this full moon, you are going to see the repercussions within the physical realm. There will be actions that will take place within the physical realm. There's a lot happening that you can't fully see, and this is why when you do divination, like, yo, what's going on, what's happening, oh, this is what, and then your spirits are like, this is what's happening, you're like, oh, but I don't want to have to do that, I don't know, I don't think, oh, maybe no, I don't feel that, I don't feel like I should do that, and then you don't follow what the guidance is. You could put yourself in a position where you're going to pay for it later. So keep that in mind, that you're emotionally still going through a very deep transformation. Our intuition is also getting an upgrade during this time. You're going to be able, especially from mistakes that you make through this full moon, you'll be able to pick up some things. This is like an I told you so full moon, okay? And it makes sense, because Virgo energy really be that way. Sometimes it'd be like, well, I gave you advice, I gave you the guidance, and you didn't listen to me. I gave you medicine, I told you what you needed to take, and you didn't take it. So if you got sick, that's on you. Okay, that's hella Virgo energy. And so because this moon tried Pluto, this is giving that. Okay, so this is a really important time for you to like bring it back and reflect on your own like transformation, and how you listen to yourself, how you listen to your spirits, how you listen to yourself, how you listen to your ego, because there is a difference in which one you act upon during this time. Okay. Mercury will be in a conjunction with Jupiter. Mercury in a conjunction with Jupiter is a really, really great placement for mentally being in alignment. Mercury in conjunction to Jupiter really, really calls on us to think a little bit more, like think bigger, okay? Expand our mind, our perception of how we look at different situations. This is really great for a lot of mental manifestations, by the way. Just because, especially, they're both in Pisces, so Mercury and Jupiter are both in Pisces right now, so this is also a great time to work through spiritually and emotionally working and affirmations and how you bring things into reality. But it's also a time for you to be really, really careful of the things that you say. If there's something that you're vibing to, if there's a truth or something that's coming up where you're just like, I have a feeling that this is going to happen, or I have a bad feeling about this, this is something that I have been personally going through with some friends. I've had a red flag, bad feeling about a certain situation, and it's just keeps deteriorating. And I'm just like, y'all, this is gonna get worse, and nobody's like listening to me. Well, there's people that are listening to me, but it's like the person involved is not listening to me as much as I wish they would. It's getting worse. Okay, and I keep saying that because I keep having this feeling. This is a really important time for you to really trust the things that you are feeling, and understand that the things that you are speaking into existence are also expanding. There is an expansive consciousness with this, because Mercury in conjunction to Jupiter, that is the mind in conjunction to the planet that rules education and the mind, but also expansion itself. So there is things that are being expanded on. And I feel like when it comes to Pisces energy, because it can easily create illusions out of absolute nowhere, this is a great time to do some glamour magic, by the way. If you're trying to do some attraction work, great time to do that. But if you're in a situation where things are a little bit weird, where things are a little bit fishy, where people are acting funny, where people are trying to create a narrative about certain things, it's almost like the illusion is going to break. The illusion is going to break at some point. It's almost like, it reminds me of the show like WandaVision. It's just kind of like creating a reality to try to save the moment or save this relationship or save the person or save the situation, and not think, oh no, nothing's happening, nothing bad's happening, no, nothing's going wrong. Like I'm not trying to sell yourself a reality that's really not it. This is a really good time to do like some convincing yourself type of things. This is also a great time to do some jinxes if that's what you wanted to do. But because of the Mercury in conjunction with Jupiter, eventually the illusion that is being created, whether positive or negative, it's going to break. People are going to see through it, and you're going to be able to see through it too, because it's going to break. It's not going to last, especially once we go into Pisces. Once we go into Aries season, it's not going to hold because Jupiter will be going into Aries. So there is this kind of like, almost like if you were sleeping or you were in like, it's like Inception. Think Inception, okay? You're like sleeping, you're going through this whole thing, entire dream, and then you just get woken up, okay? When Aries season comes, that's going to be that, because it will kind of do that. And then later on, Venus and Mars will move into Pisces, but that's a whole nother thing. But with Mercury in conjunction to Jupiter in this way, there's definitely a lot of lying. There's a lot, and it's almost like a lie is getting bigger as well. But there's also people who are creating illusions or trying to sell themselves a reality that is not true. The way that you can work with this in a mindful way is to work with it spiritually. You can work with it to heal yourself. You can work with it to work with your spirits, to expand your intuition. You can work with it for manifestations, affirmations, and things like that. But this is not a good time for you to like be out here really like selling yourself false realities, or trying to convince yourself that something's going to work out when you know deep down it's not. There's a delusional aspect to Piscean energy that Jupiter is going to amplify mentally with this. If you're really trying to convince yourself, like let's say you're in a toxic relationship and you're trying to convince yourself like, oh my god, no, but he loves me and I love him and we're going to work out, we're going to do. Okay, that's all I'm going to say to that. It's okay. Venus will be in a conjunction to Mars because they're both in Aquarius. When Venus is in a conjunction to Mars, this is just a great time for like, specifically to be balanced within the masculine and feminine energies, the duality of the thing, as it were. And I would like to remind everybody that everybody carries divine masculine and feminine energies, because for some reason people have this perception of divine masculine and feminine energies as if it was like, oh, because someone is a woman, they're feminine, and because someone's a man, they're masculine. That's not how it works. Everybody has both feminine, divine masculine and feminine energies. It has nothing to do with gender, by the way. But Venus and Mars are the planetary bodies that rule the feminine and the masculine. And when they are in conjunction, it's this beautiful harmony of both of their kind of energies being able to kind of like dance together, in the way that we could get balanced both spiritually, and because part of divine feminine energies is emotional energies, but also spiritual energy. And Mars's energy is within the physical realm, is action, but it can also be in a spiritual way. But because they're both in Aquarius, it gives a highlight and a focus on friendships, on relationships of all kinds, how we are connected with each other, how we're helping each other, how we're working together. So there's definitely a focus on how things are kind of happening, how things are kind of relating to each other, like how things are connecting to each other. And so Aquarius energy really highlights the upgrade, because it is co-ruled by Saturn, but it is also ruled by Uranus. And so there is this upgrade that happens with Aquarius energy, where it forces you to think a little bit more individualistic. This might be a time where you kind of a little bit try to reinvent yourself, or even like maybe change your style up, or feeling like doing something a little bit different. And because Venus and Mars will be in conjunction, it creates a harmony of feeling more grounded and centered within your own pleasure and within your own self and the actions that you are taking when it comes to you during this time. So also keep that in mind. It makes it a little bit more sensual as well. This is a great time to do some sensuality magic, is what I'm going to call it, so I don't get demonetized. And it gives a little bit more energy and a little bit of focus on like self-care, but it brings a beautiful harmony to not only love and relationships, but to what you're passionate about and what you're working towards, especially if you're like working on, you're passionate about, you know, your work, your job, what you do, all of that kind of stuff. That Venus and Mars conjunction just adds a layer of harmony to that. Now Venus will be in a square with Uranus, and Mars will also be in a square with Uranus. And what this is, again, this is what I'm talking about, the little upgrade that's still happening. This is a really good time for you to do or create certain shifts about certain things. You might unexpectedly or spontaneously feel like doing something that you haven't done before, feel like buying yourself something, feel like doing something that you necessarily, maybe even feel like walking down the street in a different direction than you usually do, than your routine, right? This is a good time to do that. Why? Because Uranus is the planet of unexpected change. So there is a little bit of a shift that's happening within the way that we experience pleasure and the way that we move, the way that we make moves. Now, I will say with the Jupiter, with the Mars is in square with Uranus, that can be a little bit aggressive. So if things happen where you get into an argument, or even within your relationship you get into an argument, or something's popping off, or there's, you know, like you're feeling like stuck, or you feel like you're kind of lacking freedom, or you feel like you haven't had time to do stuff for you and stuff like that, things can you know, cause some chaos. So make sure that you're giving yourself time to, you know, say, hey, I love you, but I also need my own space. I also need my own time. I gotta work on my own stuff. Or like, hey, like I'm kind of going through something right now. I just need like a day or so, like, to navigate certain things within myself. Like, you need to be able to, you know, think about your own individualistic existence. Okay, you need to like really think about how you are, especially because Aquarius always triggers our independent energy, our individualistic energy. So it's not always about how we relate to each other. Sometimes it's about, oh, how I relate to myself, so then I can present myself to the rest of the world. So this is a really good time for you to like kind of get really kind of back connected with yourself and really focus on who you are, working through how you feel like what you feel like you should be working on right now, and eventually like being able to say, hey, you know, I took some time for myself, and now I can kind of focus on, you know, helping you with that thing, or like, let's go hang out, or let's go do that. Like, because Aquarius still rules like collective energy, but you have to make sure you're good first. This is what I always say about, you know, being on the plane. You got to put the mask on you first before you put it on anything else. That's what Aquarius energy does. You have to put it on you first before you help anybody else. And that Mars or Uranus will trigger that, but it can be triggered because Mars is the planet of passion. There's some arguments that might trigger this. You might see something popping off where it's like you get into an argument with someone, you're like, you know what, I just need space. And you just snap, because it's like that's what you actually need during this time. So keep that in mind. Be gentle with yourself, and be mindful with it. You are being affected by the planetary energies. Jupiter will also be in a conjunction to Neptune, because they will also be both in Pisces. Definitely keep this in mind, because Jupiter in conjunction to Neptune makes it so there's a focus on your spiritual practice. The element that you should be working on for this moon, it should be earth and water, heavy on the water though, and also on air, because of all of the Aquarian energy. There's a lot of mental energies, and there's a lot of sorting out with the mind. This is a great time to go to therapy, by the way, or get some spiritual counseling, or pull some cards, work with your spirits, just meditate. Keep your practice and your, you know, what you're doing a little bit more simple. Maybe do some energy healing, some crystal healing would be good during this time. Let us look at the cards, because the cards are very, very telling. So when I said that things will pop off during this time, I wasn't joking. I wasn't kidding. So we have the Four of Cups, the Five of Wands, and Temperance. Okay, Temperance being also the card of Sagittarius. This right here, very, very layered. There's a lot that's going on. There's going to be certain arguments, certain things that pop off that you're not going to want them to pop off, but they are. And that's the problem. There are certain things, certain, like your spirits, your guides, especially if you're trying to divine on them, that are happening during this time, that are meant to happen during this time. They're meant to happen during this time. And if you don't like, it's almost kind of, you're going to be like, but why am I going through this? Why do I have to go through that? Why? I don't understand why I have to go through this though. Like, why can't I just let me? First of all, you are meant to live a human experience. Human experiences are not perfect. Everything is not always perfect. This is a really good time for you to, instead of looking at it and bitching and whining, okay, for you to gather yourself intellectually. Don't forget, this is the card of Sagittarius. We were talking about Jupiter a lot, right? Jupiter energies. This is a time for you to gather yourself, get yourself together, and work through the turbulence and the chaos that is being sprung up. Because anytime that you're seeing something happen in your life where there's some chaos, it's because you need to master how to handle that thing. And so right now, it is that time for you to do so. Jupiter energies, this Sagittarius energy is telling you that there is a need for you to get back on track within your path, okay? Especially because we're about to go into Aries season, y'all. Aries season is about the journey. It triggers the journey in all of us. And so there's some refocusing on, okay, what am I doing? What do I want to focus on? What am I really passionate about? And it also triggers your individuality as well, because Aries is the sign that rules going on the journey. It doesn't necessarily mean going on the journey with anybody else. Okay, that's Libra. That's Libra energies. Aries rules the singular journey, your personal journey, okay? And so right now, the turbulence that's happening right now is to trigger you into like acting on your behalf, acting on the betterment of your existence right now, okay? And then right after that, we have the Five of Cups and the Three of Swords in reverse. Why? Because there's some healing that needs to happen within this moon. We actively need to focus and remove different things, different situations that have been causing us a lot of pain. We actively need to do better for ourselves. We actively need to advocate for our own emotional energy. We actively need to make decisions that are for our betterment. And if something is not for our betterment, we need to accept that. We need to accept that, okay? You need to stop fighting the direction that you know you're heading to. Some of y'all already know that some things need to go and are still lingering and holding that like it's just gonna stay there. Like it's just gonna get good at some point. No. It's not gonna get good. You got to let it go, and you need to focus on your healing. This moon is about you healing and getting yourself together, getting and feeling better about yourself. This is a really important moon for certain things to be concluded. That's why they're in reverse. That's why it's coming up in reverse. It's like you're supposed to conclude these energies. You're supposed to end the pain and the focus on the healing. This is not a time to be entertaining. You see how we're getting, even in the oracle cards, return to sacred. This is not control and discern, because you need to have discernment. You need to mentally go in and actually understand what this journey is looking like for you. Spiritual quest. This is something that is honestly, if some of you have been holding on to a situation for like the longest time and have not let it go for whatever the hell reason, or a person or a thing, but you know you need to let it go. Guess what's gonna happen? Okay. Surrender to the divine and work through your fears. Because some of you are afraid of losing people. Some of you are afraid of where you're going to end up, what your life's going to look like after, if you do what you know you need to do. But the thing is that the planets are going to trigger you, and it's going to happen anyway. For some of you, there are certain things that are going to happen anyway that you will not have any control over. And so y'all need to stop pretending like you can hold on to the toxicity. I listen. Contemplation, solitude. Okay, that's Virgo ass energy right there. Contemplation, solitude. Dive deep and healing. That's Virgo ass energy. Y'all need to really listen to yourselves. Y'all need to stop trying to feed your egos and hold on to people and hold on to situations and things and friends that are really not meant to be here right now. Okay, they're taking up space in your life, and it's you all also need to take time to focus on yourself and how things have been impacting you, how this whole situation, how this whole connection, how all these relationships have been impacting you. Okay, because it's not healthy. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. You need to dive a little bit deeper, actually look in deeper, listen to your spirits. They're trying to get you to the healing point, but it's either you're gonna get there in the easy way or you're gonna get dragged. Okay, bottom of the deck. Like, some of you think that certain thing that something's gonna work, that something's gonna be, oh my god, no, but it's gonna be fine, it's gonna work out, we're gonna no, it's not, and you know it's not. So you need to let it go. Okay, There's a lot that needs to be healed. There's a lot that needs to be focused on, but y'all also need to work with your spirits. Ask them for that guidance and help in order for you to not be able to navigate this thoroughly. Okay. Anyway, my loves, that is the breakdown. And it's a forecast for this full moon in Virgo. I hope that you guys got all the messages that you needed. Definitely do not forget to sign up for the workshop. The link will be down below, and don't forget to check out the Patreon as well, which will be down below. I will see you loves in the next video. Thank you so much for being here, for subscribing, for just being awesome people, and yeah, I love you guys.